Virginia, but I think it's very appropriate that we have a moment of silence and for prayer for the victims of the terrible shootings last year, a year ago today, at our sister institution in Blacksburg. So I'd ask you to join me in a moment of silence. I'm calling this our three-governor panel. That's the only thing they have in common. They all serve as governor. You know, beyond that, they have different views and different opinions. They've served in different offices. They have, and I think the key word there is serve. They have served the people in many, many ways. And they are three people that I greatly respect. I honor their service, and I like them as people. And we're thrilled to have them here at the University of Virginia. We have on this panel not just three governors, we have a former White House Chief of Staff. We have two ex-presidential candidates. We have a former senator. We have a current mayor of a city not too far away from here. So we've got a lot on this one panel. And it's a panel that is going to range widely in discussing the presidency, presidential elections, what we've been through over the last 6 months or so. It's following up on the Center for Politics focus on the Constitution and whether the Constitution needs changing in any respect, whether the laws need changing in any respect with respect to the presidency and all the other institutions and processes of American government and politics. I invite all of you, by the way, after this panel is over, to stay if you wish and watch the debate. You're getting two for the price of one. Right after this session, we're going to have on the big screen, we're going to have the Pennsylvania debate between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And I know you're anxious to see it. There's so few debates. It's only been 3,200 or something in the last few months. But actually, we haven't been one since late February. So those of us who really enjoy those things have been having a tough time surviving. But tonight we get a new dose of medicine. Well, let me introduce our all-star panel. First, Governor John Sununu, who served as President George H.W. Bush's Chief of Staff after 3 consecutive terms as Governor of New Hampshire. He was absolutely critical. All of you who love politics remember this. He was critical in reviving the senior Bush's campaign after his defeat in Iowa in 1988. Without this man, Bob Dole would have been president in 1988. Now, Bob Dole would like that. I don't know about others. For much of the 1990s, Governor Sununu co-hosted CNN's Crossfire program, which was really one of my favorite shows, and I'm sorry that it went off the air. He is currently the president of JHS Associates. He's a partner in Trinity International Partners, a private financial firm. And by the way, he's joining us after visiting with His Holiness the Pope today in Washington. I hope you kissed his ring, and therefore will permit us to kiss yours. That's the closest we'll get to the Pope. Have you all noticed that no politician or office holder is ever called His Holiness? There's a reason for that. When you really think about that, it's up in New Hampshire. Governor Sununu said, okay. So Governor Sununu, welcome. We're delighted you're here with us. Governor Lowell Weicker served in the United States House and in the United States Senate for 3 terms. He was, of course, from the state of Connecticut. He was a prominent member of the Senate Watergate Committee investigating the abuses of the Nixon administration. Then in 1990, Governor Weicker left the Republican Party and he became an independent, and he was elected governor of Connecticut. It's very difficult to get elected to anything as an independent, much less governor of the state. So that was a singular achievement, defeating opponents from both parties. He also ran for the Republican presidential nomination in 1980. He currently serves on the boards of the Trust for America's Health, and I love this, World Wrestling Entertainment. Governor, I've got a very good question about that. Is that stuff fake? Yes. Yes. Most important of all, Governor Weicker is a graduate of the University of Virginia School of Law. And last but certainly not least, my dear friend of many decades standing, Mayor Doug Walker. In 1989, he became the first African American to be elected governor of any U.S. state. It took 17 years for another state to emulate Virginia. Governor Wilder had previously served as lieutenant governor and for 16 years as a member of the Senate of Virginia. Governor Wilder also ran for the Democratic presidential nomination back in 1992. Responding to a widespread desire for change and reform in his home city, Governor Wilder was elected mayor of Richmond in 2004 with an astounding 80% of the vote. And one of the many candidates running against him was the incumbent mayor. That was, to get 80% running against a group of people, including the incumbent, is absolutely remarkable. So why don't you give a round of applause for our three members. Reforms of the presidency and the nominating process, but we have to get one thing out of the way because it's what everybody wants to know, and we're going to go right there. We're going to ask for volunteers, but they all three have to answer sooner or later. We have to know who's going to win the Democratic Party nod for president, and then who's going to win the general election and why. Who'd like to start us out? Governor Sununu? He said it was easy.
Frankly, I don't care who wins the Democratic nomination. And I think the Democrats are going to be very surprised that this is not a Democratic year, that they have succeeded in creating a sufficient level of chaos that I think John McCain will be the next president.
Barack Obama